Good afternoon, everybody. We're just waiting for everybody to join us before we start. Always giving 1 to 2 minutes for everyone to join us. Hi, Ashish. Good to see you. Hi, Ronnie. Excellent. Perfect. I think we're 4:02. We are sharp and we have a lot to handle. Super. Good afternoon, everyone. I before we quickly start, hi Abhishek, good to see you too. I see lots of raised hands. Um, Maybe I'm going to ask you a question. How many webinars did you attend since we started? And believe it or not, this is today is our seventh masterclass that we have hosted since our world went upside down. Today is a bit different because when so far we have looked at a number of generic topics that would appeal to the wider community, so across sales, marketing, revenue, and distribution. Today is quite a specific topic and topic that is definitely on every hospitality marketeer mind, what we all know we are moving towards, and a lot of jargon that we now say it's GEO. I'm personally going to learn from this session. This is a topic that you've asked us to bring to master classes, and we are delivering it. And we picked up not only a specialist, Yulia Kaidi, but also from 80 Days. And for those of you that may know or may not know, 80 Days is one of our great supporters in HSMAI MIA. They support our annual conference. They deliver a lot of educational and informative content during the conference. And today they are joining hands to deliver a very interesting topic. Yulia is originally from Hungary and she is now back to Budapest after living in Edinburgh, Scotland. I'm not so sure about leaving. Both places are amazing, but she lived in Edinburgh for 11 years and now she went back to living in Budapest. She really brings a great international perspective and experience and a genuine passion for sharing her knowledge with others. And that's exactly why she is here. Now, just before I leave the floor to Yulia, some housekeeping notes. We are going back to our original style of Q&A during the actual 1 hour. So we will not keep the questions till the end because today's content is really split into three areas. So please feel free to ask a question at any time. You have two ways. You can do that live by raising your hand. The moment Jean sees your hand raised, she is going to turn your audio and visual on. Please unmute yourself and ask Julia the question directly. Or alternatively, you can share your question on the Q&A, not the chat, the Q&A. I, being the voice of God for Julia today, I will pick up your question and I will ask the question on your behalf. So let us make it an engaging session. It's all about us walking away with immediate actions and things that can improve our operation and our day-to-day work. So with that said, I say welcome to everyone, and we really have a very nice, diverse majority is marketeers, but we also have revenue, we have commercial with us. So with that said, I say over to you, Julia, and I become your voice of God.
Thank you so
Please make sure
Mhm.
you look at my hand when it's raised.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mona, for the introduction. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for attending this webinar. What we're going to tackle today is a quick overlook of what GEO is, and like Mona mentioned, how you can take actionable steps even starting from today to make sure that you are actually improving your website and your brand presence. So the webinar is going to be AI Search Mystery Solved using GEO. Mona mentioned, but quickly let me introduce the company that I'm coming from. 80 Days is a full-service digital marketing agency. We provide SEO, GEO, paid advertisement, social media, branding, copywriting, and website creation services for the hospitality industry. The company has been working in the industry for over 20 years now, and we have 2 beautiful offices in Edinburgh that I've been working up until the last month. And like Mona mentioned, I moved back to Hungary because I am originally from Budapest. I've been with 80 Days for over 3 years now, and I've been working with SEO for the last 5 years now. With that in mind, let's actually demystify AI search, because I appreciate this is a big buzzword. I know everything is about AI now, and GEO, which stands for Generative Engine Optimization. So the webinar's goal is to demystify this, have a bit of an idea, and give you some actionable insights that you can take away after this webinar. Of course, we can't actually just jump into the middle. So we're going to start with a quick intro to SEO and GEO. Then we're going to see how search has transformed with AI agents and what it actually means for your visibility. Then we're going to look at 5 actionable steps to boost your GEO performance starting today. And then we're going to look at longer-term strategies to future-proof both your website and your brand. Then we're going to have hopefully a fun exercise. Promise it's not going to be heavy and it's not going to be difficult. I would require everybody's input, so please don't be shy when the time comes. You're just going to need to think a little bit and look at everything that I've talked through in the next 35 to 40 minutes. Like Mona mentioned, we're going to have Q&A sort of mini sections after each of the mini sessions. It's going to be the intro and how search has changed. That's going to be the first block. The second one is going to be the 5 actionable steps. And then the long-term strategies are going to be the third one. So you're going to have opportunities to raise questions. But after the entire session and the exercise, we allocated another couple of minutes for any follow-up questions. So that will take us up to 1 hour, hopefully. Let's actually get into it. So what are SEO and GEO? SEO itself stands for Search Engine Optimization, while GEO stands for Generative Engine Optimization. They both together refer to optimizing your website and your online brand presence for traditional and generative search engines. The main idea is that SEO wins you visibility in search results, like on Google or Bing, helping travelers find your hotel, while GEO wins you visibility and recommendations in AI answers, like ChatGPT. I appreciate you are here, so you hopefully already know the value in it, and that is absolutely point in devoting time and resources for optimizing your website and your brand. But I just wanted to make sure to quickly summarizing why they actually matter and why they are hugely important and beneficial to actually turn to and invest in. The end goal for all of us is for the hotel official websites to generate direct bookings. SEO and GEO is going to help you that immensely. We know that a big pain point for all hotels out there is trying to compete with OTAs. They have almost endless budgets. Obviously, their online traffic and their organic traffic is always going to be higher than an individual hotel site or even a group hotel website. But again, optimizing your website and your brand is actually going to help you stand a chance and be in the competition with OTAs. For a bit of a more specific goal for SEO and GEO is to generate and gain organic and AI traffic, because interestingly enough, once you get into a positive loop of having more people visiting your website, search engines, both traditional ones like Google and AI ones like ChatGPT, gonna pick up on that traffic and then gonna realize that your website is relevant and useful to people. So they're gonna end up ranking it higher and they're gonna recommend it more. So the more people visit your website, the more mentions and recommendations you get, which then obviously gonna result again, more people visiting your website. And this is gonna be a lovely positive loop. It might be an interesting point, but SEO and GEO actually helps you find your target market, but organically. Interestingly, though, it works a little bit in reverse. with search, and especially with AI search now, people are able to do very specific and very detailed searches. Sometimes their questions have 5 different criteria when they're looking for accommodation. They could be looking for a luxury family-friendly hotel in Dubai with a sea view that has an on-site gym and a restaurant. Back in the days, they used just a couple of keywords, but now with the AI search, users are secure and know that they can ask for very specific things because AI is going to be able to provide the answers. Our job and your job is making sure that the information and anything regarding what your hotel offers and all the USPs are actually displayed on your website. So AI can see it and then AI can recommend it. I know it's very scary that AI is taking away some clicks and some of the traffic of your website, but if you think about it, long term, it's actually just going to be beneficial for you because what it actually does is matching users and user intent with your hotel. Again, as long as your hotel content is actually featuring all the relevant information that someone might be looking for when they are searching for accommodation. We tend to say it's free advertisement, which is a little bit of a cheating. I appreciate that. It's obviously not completely free. What we mean by that is, besides the time and the expertise, you don't actually have to devote anything extra spend on SEO or GEO like you would need to do with paid advertisement. And the last point would be that it actually supports brand awareness. Please don't think that it can then supplement or replace paid brand awareness campaigns. Unfortunately, it's not as effective. But if you think about it, this is especially relevant for non-brand searches when people are not specifically looking for your hotel, but they are looking for a hotel that actually fits all the criteria that your hotel offers. If they are searching for something like that, and then your hotel is coming up on the search results and getting recommended by the AI tools, even if they don't click on it in the first round or the second round, this is how psychology works. Your brand awareness is already happening because they keep seeing your brand and what you offer. I just wanted to make sure now that we are obviously talking about GEO and we are talking about these AI tools, that you are aware of the actual examples. You probably have been seeing these, probably have been using them as well. If not, I would absolutely recommend doing it. All of these have free versions as well, and even the free ones are actually quite amazingly good. It's just nice to sort of put yourself in your users and potential guests' shoes just to make sure that you understand the conversation experience that they have these tools. These are officially called large language models, and the most important and most popular examples are ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini. Google AI overviews and AI mode are broken into 2 different sections because the AI overviews are the one that, whether you want it or not, they're actually going to appear at the top as it acts as a featured snippet. And they usually come up, I'm sure all of you have seen that before, they come up for more informational queries. While if you go to Google and then if you change to AI mode, this is where you're actually chatting to Google's chatbot, like you would do on ChatGPT. So how these search engines work, please don't be afraid. I'm not actually going to go into the technicality of it. I just wanted to very quickly summarize that search engines like Google or ChatGPT, they crawl, they index, and then they rank pages, sections of pages, and websites. They do that based on hundreds of elements. We're not really going to go into that, but you just need to know that when we optimize a website and brand presence, we actually talk about hundreds of elements that you can and you need to keep into consideration. A couple of the most major ones are the content, the information actually found on your website and how easy it is to find it, the website speed, and the user experience. I think the beauty in both SEO and GEO is its simplicity. I'm not naive. I appreciate there's a lot of technical elements going into it, but I think there are so many elements that are actually just coming from common sense. And because all of us are not just coming from the side of owning a hotel or managing a hotel website, but all of us have been using other websites to actually book an accommodation, it's very easy to put yourself in a potential guest's shoes and understand what it is that you yourself would want from a website. If your hotel website, for any reason, with any elements, is not necessarily hitting that criteria, you could actually think about that. If a book now button is hard to find, you can maybe replace it and put it in a more prominent position on your page. It's very important to understand that these search engines, they just want to be as useful as possible, which means that they want to match the user with the most relevant pages. I mentioned that before. Don't be afraid of AI. It's not gonna take over all the visits from your official websites. That's not where we are heading. It is taking some of the traffic, but the idea is that if someone is searching for something that your hotel offers with AI search, now you're actually gonna be able to find your right audience, which means that they're gonna be it's gonna be way more likely that they actually end up booking the hotel. So how you do that, you need to optimize your website, your other online assets, like your social media, and then in return, you're actually gonna rank well and high, and you're gonna be recommended in AI tools. I know it's obvious, but the higher you rank, the better the chances users are actually going to click on your website, because let's be honest, no one really goes through the first page of Google. I think all of us can agree to that. Unless you are looking for something specific, you couldn't find on the first page. With AI, it's actually even more true, because AI then recommends answers, and people might be asking for a follow-up questions, but most of the time they are happy with what AI is recommending them. So like I mentioned, SEO and GEO, you cannot really separate the two. They work together, and I just wanted to make sure that we don't just jump onto GEO, which is sort of a level higher than SEO. You have to have the foundation. Don't worry, I know it's GEO webinar. I'm not really gonna go into a lot of details what SEO is, but wanted to show you the three main pillars that SEO is made up of, and GEO are actually also founded on these. On-page SEO is the first one, which literally just means all the elements within your website itself. We're talking about content, keywords, optimizing your texts, your headers, your images. And then we have off-page SEO, which is external SEO, anything outside of your actual website, but it's still related to your brand, and it could be still related to your website. What I mean is local SEO, which could be a Google business profile. I'm sure all of you have seen that before. Maybe you don't know that this is what it's called, but when you are searching for a brand or for a hotel, either at the top or most likely on the right-hand side, you're gonna see an image, an external image of that hotel with some information. This is linked with Google Maps, and you're allowed to actually claim your own Google business profile if you're managing a hotel, but we're going to talk about it later on when we are taking a look at the actionable steps. Off-page SEO also covers social media, which is very important, and brand citations, which again just gained a heightened importance for AI. The last pillar of traditional SEO, as we call it, is technical, but keep in mind that technical elements have not really changed for AI. There are certain additional elements that needs to be done, but this webinar is not really going to be about the technical side of things, because that's more for developers. As long as you have a good developer team, or you have anybody that you can turn to even on an occasional basis to check your website from a technical perspective, or you could rely to your SEO and digital marketing team, you're going to be fine and safe. We just need to make sure that the website is not broken, it's easy to navigate, and it has a clear structure. Like I mentioned, SEO and GEO cannot really be and should not really be separated, because they share some crucial elements. You have to have these things ready and fully optimized for both a good SEO and the GEO performance. A technically sound and user-friendly website. Like I mentioned, no one really wants to get lost on a website. We want to make sure that an image is not loading for 2 minutes, because people's attention span is just out of the window by now. Everything has to be fast. A clear website structure so they can find things very easily. We don't want them to get lost from your homepage to the point when they actually would want to book an accommodation an accommodation. Rich, engaging, and informative content is crucial. I know AI is out there, and I know a lot of people are actually using AI for writing content. I would definitely recommend against it. There is some way where you can rely on AI tools to enrich your content a little bit, but search engines are smart enough to pick up if a content is not human written, and people are actually hungry for human written content. And the last point that again gained additional importance with the rise of AI is EEAT. You might have seen this abbreviation before. It stands for experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. Basically, what search engines and AI search engines want and need and that actually coincides with what real users want, is that they can trust the website is relevant, that when they book on a hotel website, their money is actually safe, and they're actually going to end up having an accommodation when they turn up. There is no denying, though, that obviously things are changing. This is why all of us are here. For the last almost year or so now, everything is about AI search and GEO. So the search behavior has changed, which we're going to go into a little bit more detail in a second. The search location, which we call it, is basically the idea that we've seen examples before for LLMs, the large language models. There are the AI tools where now people are doing their search. And we also have to mention that social medias like TikTok and YouTube on their own are now acting as search engines. In a way, if you think about it, it's just people are searching on multiple platforms now, not just on Google or Bing, but because the end goal is for them to find your website. That's, again, not actually a negative. This is a positive thing, because now you have multiple platforms where you can be present and where you can get traffic from to your website. So then ultimately people can book directly on your hotel site. Even though a lot of SEO elements are still applicable for a good GEO performance, there are certain things that you need to look at in addition to what you have been looking at for SEO when we talk about GEO. So what helps you rank well is changing a little bit as well. So the differences actually start with how people are searching. I think, again, based on probably from your own personal experience, if you do talk to AI bots, this is actually now chatting. No wonder they are called AI chats and chatbots. People are having real conversations. They are not just adding short keywords. They are specific because they know now that they can be specific, that they're still going to get a result, and they're actually going to get a more targeted and more detailed result. The questions and queries are longer. Some people are asking follow-up questions. Another important sort of distinction is that while SEO was very heavily relying more on keywords, AI is smarter. So AI is now actually looking at the semantics, the meaning behind the words. What I mean by that is, if your hotel is truly luxurious, it's no longer enough to say that it is a luxury hotel 20 times across your website. Please don't forget to do that. Optimizing your website's content is still key. But now AI is actually going to look beyond your website as well, and it's going to look at reviews. It's going to look at what people are saying on other platforms. It's going to look at whether websites with high authority, like The Guardian or The Times, are actually mentioning your hotel as being one of the best luxury hotels in the city where it is located. AI is now looking at a bigger picture. The other important distinction is that AI can actually look beyond just the words and the text on your website. So content is actually now focusing on not just the text, but the images, the videos, your PDFs, even a contact form. AI is smart enough to read it. So everything needs to be present on your website, easily findable and discoverable by the users, and obviously making sure that they are working and that they are optimized. Like I mentioned, I think the biggest sort of change, what you need to keep in mind, is that GEO requires a more holistic approach. Unfortunately or not, I actually see it as an opportunity. It's no longer just about your website. Don't leave it behind. Your website is still going to be your flagship, but you have to look beyond that and you have to be present elsewhere. What we like to see is, I know it's a little bit cheesy, but it's actually true. It's no longer just about what you say about your hotel. It is what people are saying about your hotel. And you have to be part of that conversation. So when we talk about GEO, how we actually achieve that this holistic approach is actually on the agenda when we talk about optimizing your website and your brand. We're gonna start from the top and gonna go around clockwise. We're gonna start what you can do with your website. There are certain technical compliances. You don't really have to know about it. All you need to know is that your developers are actually following the news, and you have your SEO and GEO experts, or you can, use external companies as well to support checking your website, auditing your website, and letting you know whether it is actually optimized for AI searches. Like I mentioned, a very clear website structure and very rich website content is crucial. Brand awareness and a positive brand sentiment. This is something where then starts coming from outside of your website. This is literally about the previous slide. It's very important what people are saying about you. And the other important thing is that you get the opportunity and you get the platforms to actually defend yourself. So it's not just people say whatever they want. Unfortunately, this is true, but you also have the power to defend yourself if a review is unfair, or we've been seeing it that people are actually leaving reviews about restaurants they haven't even visited because they're criticizing a dish that it's not even on the menu. But as long as there are no responses, AI is just going to pick up on the negative review. The other way you can sort of act proactively when we talk about building your brand's positive sentiment is running digital PR campaigns. And then you can reach out to external digital outlets. You can ask to be featured. You can offer something in return. I understand this is always a little bit of a business decision as well, but in the long run, it's definitely worth because GEO is actually focusing on the big picture, and getting mentions from really great articles and great external websites are going to be very valuable for your brand and your website. Like I mentioned, social media and actually user-generated content sites like Reddit. I understand that some people shrink to that and think that Reddit is a little bit, it's an area that they don't necessarily want to associate with. I would just say that unfortunately, AI tools don't work like that. They just want real input, real people's opinions and experiences and reviews. So they are actually going to get information from Reddit. Again, if you are not on Reddit, now actually Reddit allows you to be free and have a Reddit Pro account for businesses. If you're not on there and if you're not part of the conversation, AI is still going to pick up on the reviews and on the overall sentiment about your brand from Reddit. But if you're not there to balance it out or, to thank for any recommendations, then you're just not present and you're not going to be then pulled into those AI answers. The final element for GEO and optimizing your site for those AI tools is local SEO, like I mentioned, for example, a Google Business Profile, which we're going to see an example in a second. This would be the end of the first section. So if anybody has any questions about these couple of slides, if you don't mind letting Mona know just now.
We don't have any questions so far, Julia. I have a quiet 45 audience today.
Oh,
yeah. No, somebody just raised the hand.
Yes.
Oh, that was me. Who's raising the hand? Okay. Lijesh. Hi, Lijesh. How are you? Good to see you here.
Hi there.
Hi. I hope you guys can hear me.
Yes, we can. Loud and clear.
Thanks. I wonder, Reddit, for the hotels in Middle East, how relevant is Reddit for us? And when you talk about customer feedbacks beyond the review sites, where today these major models, whether it's ChatGPT or Gemini, from where they are capturing for a hotel's review, is it going back to the review boards of, let's say, Google reviews or
yes,
specifically paid review other sites? Is there any other place? Because Reddit definitely not the kind of community or the customer conversation in this part of the world. It may be in the US, but not really for Middle East.
Yeah, no, I completely understand that. So to answer your very first question, how relevant it is for the Middle East, I actually myself have a couple of clients from the Middle East, and we have a task at 80 days where we look at certain brand mentions online on user-generated sites like Reddit. Reddit is the focus. And we've actually been seeing the idea more is that people are asking for, oh, I'm looking for a hotel in downtown Dubai that would be perfect for my family for this or this or this reason. And then people are just going to answer with certain things. And if they do, recommend your website, then it actually looks really good for your brand if then you join the conversation. And then if you just, hammer it down that, oh, well, first of all, you can thank another user, which is just a nice thing to do as a brand. But then you can also extend, from your own recommendation that, yes, this, user was right. And we also offer all of these things which would make our hotel relevant for you. The other thing to keep in mind is that they might actually, ask for something and then maybe no one is actually recommending your hotel. But if you or someone within your team, it could be their own personal Reddit account, join the conversation that, it's again, a bit of a free platform to advertise your website and to recommend it as a real user. So I would say that it's still beneficial. I understand that the relevancy probably is way lower than it could be for the US or the UK, like you said. I would still think that we're gonna go that with the actual longer term tips. There are tools to monitor your brand mentions on Reddit. So for you guys then, as a first step, I would say to do that. We're gonna see it in like the next 5 minutes. And then if you see that there's any action, if there's chats around your brand, then I think it's definitely worth. It doesn't have to be you're checking Reddit every day, but someone could, spend 10 minutes once a week, once every 2 weeks to see if there are any new conversations about the hotel, or if there are any new relevant conversations that you can join from the side of the hotel.
Brand presence matter, end of the day.
Yeah. When it comes to the reviews, that was exactly like you said, that was spot on. AI tools are actually picking up reviews from Google. So this is why having the Google business profile is very important, because part of that you can actually answer to reviews and all the OTA sites and all the other review sites. But I would say that in terms of sort of priority, they are actually looking for reviews on OTA sites, Google, and then they actually see reviews on YouTube and then Reddit as well. Even if you think, and you're right about the relevancy to the Middle East, that doesn't mean that there couldn't be anybody, visiting you guys from the US that then go on to Reddit and leave a short review about their hotel experience. I hope this answered the question.
Yes, thank you.
No worries at all. Then I think let's go on, unless there's anybody else just now.
There is a question. Ashish, go ahead.
Hi, Mona, thanks. Hi, Yulia. Just a quick question, Yulia, related to, how you mentioned about, the SEOs in the old world that we used to see, optimizing the keyword searches, etc., depending upon refreshing and reviewing and making sure that you have optimized the keyword searches into the best possible position. And as you correctly said, the GEO might probably, most of the, actions would be related to crawling and connecting all those words or contents from Google. But is there a possibility, or is there a action point for people to look at optimizing GEO as the keyword searches and looking at specific inputs to make it stronger for your for your presence, for your own perspective? I mean, not all hotels will be the same, for example. So it's more focused approach looking at optimizing the GEO. Is there a possibility, and how do you do it?
Yeah, no, I understand that. Definitely. So again, I think it's two different things. And if you don't mind the second one, let's see if you still have questions after this 5 hands, or actually this 2 sections, because this is going to be a little bit of more of a hands-on what you can do to then optimize outside of those just focusing on the keywords. If you still have questions, I'm more than happy to, circle back to that question. But the first part I would say is that when we say, we're stepping away from keywords, that is technically true. Things, though, that you need to realize is that, in a way, AI is going to look behind the meaning, but it's still going to be sort of revolving around keywords. So what we usually do and what we have been doing for SEO is you select a set of keywords that you want your website and certain pages to rank for. This actually is not out of the window for GEO either, because it still gives a sort of a direction where people are going to be searching for and what they are interested in. So you still might, for us, if you optimize your site for luxury hotel in downtown Dubai, that's still probably something that people are going to be searching on AI tools as well. Maybe not like this. They're going to, write it out as a nice sentence. They might add another 5 criteria. But the main idea, the core interest and the user intent that this is the type of hotel that they are searching for is going to be applicable for all of the AI tools as well. So I would say definitely not just completely forget about searching for keywords, having a set of keywords that you want to be sure that your website is ranking for, both on traditional search engines, because again, search is still happening. The majority of searches are still happening on traditional, not on AI search engines. But if you are wanting to shift to AI, you still need to make sure that those like 50 keywords or keyword areas, they could be long-term keywords, so they could be longer ones. Like I said, like the one that I said, the luxury hotel in downtown Dubai is actually a little bit of a longer one now. you still would want to make sure that your website copy is optimized toward that. The difference is that you wouldn't use that keyword 5 times across your site or 10 times. You would make sure that you have enough pages, and you would make sure that your rich content on the website is actually giving the meaning, giving the signals to AI tools and AI search engines that this, in fact, is a luxurious hotel. I hope that helped. I appreciate your second question, that it's a more holistic approach. It's not just about keyword optimization. But if you don't mind, I'm going to go through the next 2 sections. And then even after that, if you think that you still want to question anything around it, I'm more than happy to circle back.
Thank you.
No worries at all. Anyone else?
No, you can go ahead, Julia.
Thank you so much. So we just thought again that now we have a bit of an overview, big picture wise, what it is that GEO means, what it is that AI tools are looking at a little bit differently, stepping away from your website, and also what you can action on your website. We thought that probably the most useful things for you guys is not to go into the nitty-gritty of the technical things, especially if it regards more developers. It's what is it that you can today actually do. Having said that, apologies, but the first one is actually about a technical element. Nothing for you to actually do. This is obviously going to be shared with you after the webinar. If you could circle back to that and sit down with your developer for 5 minutes and just to make sure, ask them to check whether your site can be crawled and can be seen by AI bots and AI crawlers. Bots are the ones that going out on the internet and looking for data and gather it and then index a page or a section of a page. And then based on that, the AI tools, when you're doing a search on ChatGPT, for example, these indexed pages and page sections, informations are going to generate the results. It's a very quick fix as well. It accidentally could happen. Maybe developers set it up back in the days that your website is not actually visible for AI crawlers. This would be step 1, because anything you do, if this technical step 0 is not actually done, then it's a bit of in a vain, because AI tools are not actually able to see your website. The second tip I've already mentioned a couple of times, but I wanted to make sure that there's a visible example for all of you to have a bit of a light in your head to be like, oh yeah, this is a Google business profile. So this is something that unless your hotel is brand new, 100% your hotel is already going to be existing on a Google Maps. And when you do a brand search for your hotel, you're going to be able to see this profile and you're going to be able to claim and verify it. It's a quick process. And then you're going to be able to actually go in and optimize it, making sure that all the contact details and your brand name are correct and consistent with your website data. You can also add events, offers, you can add your amenities, you can add a booking button, and this is where you can also respond to all the reviews. One thing to keep in mind that is important, and a lot of our clients actually forget about it, that this doesn't only apply to your hotel itself. Anything that's open to the public, including your restaurants, your bars, your gym, your spa, if you have a golf course, anything, please feel free to create a Google business profile. Creating one is also very easy. There are hundreds of guidelines out there, and Google is actually quite good at giving out specific guidelines. And again, this is something that your SEO and GEO experts could support you. It's immensely useful because traditional search, local SEO actually stand for around 25% of the organic traffic, which is a crazy high number. And actually AI is pulling so much information from your local listings. This is also possible to do on Bing and Apple Maps as well, but Google would be the main focus. This is where you would start. Our third tip would be to enrich your website copy. Make sure that your content has relevant, engaging information. When I say that, I don't actually mean that you would need to start creating new pages. That's going to be a long-run recommendation. I just mean that you have to be very specific. And like we talked about it before, because people now are allowed to and encouraged to use very, very detailed queries and long questions with 5 criteria, what they would expect from a hotel room, for example. We want to make sure that if your hotel has that, it's actually visible and the information is present on the website. What I mean by that is obviously not that, you have to write in the copy that you have green carpets and leather couches. But if someone is searching for a hotel room with a view to a sea, with a bathtub, or a king size bed. These are information that should be present on your individual rooms page, because then AI is going to be able to match you with the user looking for exactly what you are actually offering. The fourth tip is a very quick one, and it sounds obvious, but please have an FAQ page if you don't have one. If you do have one, please still devote some time to review it and making sure that it's rich. It answers all the possible questions. Again, you don't have to go crazy. An FAQ page shouldn't be 200 questions, but it could easily feature 30, 50 questions, the most generic ones, the ones that you would think that anybody is actually interested in about your hotel. Having an FAQ page or separate, shorter FAQ sections on your core pages is going to help you outrank OTAs, because if you have in mind, all of the OTAs have their own FAQ page sections. So when someone is actually asking a question about your brand and your hotel, we want to make sure that your website is the one that's showing up and your website is the one where AI is getting the answer for. And one reason or one solution for that is having a very detailed FAQ page. The last quick tip that you can do starting from today is having a consistent brand and brand name on social media. Again, I know it might sound a bit of a, well, of course you have to be consistent, but it's a very easy one to overlook. We had it so many times that we sort of audit a client's social media presence from an SEO perspective and a GEO perspective, and we can see that even their brand name doesn't match. And we've just recently had it with a client that their brand name was very similar to another one, and the other hotel actually just had a couple of really negative reviews. And because of our client's inconsistent brand name usage on social media, when someone was doing a search on ChatGPT, some of the negative reviews from the other hotel got fed into the answers. So that then just, gave an unreliable and not true negative sentiment of our hotel's brand. So this is something you can do. Just check all the social media profiles and make sure that your name is consistent and it's matching your actual brand name. So quick addition, but it's the same with the social media handle. I know some of them have limits, but if there are no limits, or if your brand can fit into the social media handle, please try to make it consistent as well. This was a shorter one, so I don't know, maybe if you guys don't mind, I would want to run through the future-proofing as well, because these are sort of part of the same topic, and then we can take questions again if that's all right. So the next section would be, we just had a look at what is it that you can do today, but obviously, like with anything else, we want to make sure that we are not just putting out fires or doing quick wins. We actually want to make sure that your website and your brand presence online is future-proofed for a strong AI performance. What we mean by that is that we're gonna see at some recommendations that's gonna take more time, more investment, maybe more resources, and the results might be coming along in a later point in the future. But please note that AI is not going anywhere. It's just gonna get better and better. People are gonna keep using it. Actually, more and more people are going to be using it for booking hotels as well, but definitely for putting together their accommodation ideas and their plans for holidays. So it's definitely worth investing in these things. 3 things you can do on your website itself: building out individual landing pages for your core topics. I already mentioned optimizing certain things and making sure that the information is relevant and added to your page. Now we are actually talking about any missing pages. It's very easy to find online as well, but it's also very common sense that if you have 5 restaurants, having just 1 restaurant overview page with 2 sentences of each of your restaurants, that's not going to be informative enough. All of your restaurants deserve to have their own landing page, because then you actually have a platform where you can add the information, you can have a menu, you can have the opening times, the dress code. If you have a happy hour, if you have a kids menu, and there are certain core topics that you want to highlight as an offering from your hotel, all of those should have their own page. I appreciate starting a blog. Actually, it's time consuming and you need a lot of resources, and I'm not expecting anybody to jump on and tomorrow start a blog category, but you don't actually have to publish a blog article every month. You can have a nice content calendar and you can have 1 or 2 blogs published once a month to a month, because it just gives search engines and AI tools some indication that you are an expert in your own business area. If you talk about attractions, anything seasonal that's happening in your town that could be useful for the users, that's just going to be very beneficial for your GEO performance. Also starting a news category and what the difference is. Because I know that some websites have, well, actually only a few have both. Some have either the blog or a news, and then they tend to mix the two. It's not the end of the world. If you have one at least, that's already a really good job. But ideally, you would have a blog category where you would actually have more editorial type, more conversational, more actually informational articles around the best family-friendly attractions in Dubai. Whereas your news category would have shorter news articles that's more focused about you and your hotel. If you've been awarded an award, or if you are launching a new seasonal offer for Ramadan, if you rebranded something, or if you I don't know, anything, if you started or opened a new pool at the rooftop of your hotel, these all deserve to be shouted about. And what's really beneficial for blogs and news is that every time there's a new content published on the website, that's fresh content, which is highly important for both SEO and GEO. But the other thing is that GEO actually needs brand information because it's gonna try to get it from everywhere else. So why not actually have it from the most reliable source, which is your official website? What you can do sort of outside of your website, I know we already talked about it, so I'm not going to go into details, but try to be active and responsive on social media. It actually includes user-generated content sites as well. Again, fully appreciate if Reddit is not that relevant just now. I would still say what I've said before, that it's worth monitoring and then just jumping on it if there's any possibility. If there's no traction at all on Reddit about your hotel, that's completely fine to not look at it as a priority. So the 3 tools that you can get for free today, which I think is actually quite useful to have, you would just get alerts for your personal email address or work email address. So one is Google Alert. This is brand mentions on Google. Social Searcher, which is brand mentions across almost all social media, which is huge. And then F5 bot tool would be social mentions of your brand on Reddit. The idea is that, you don't have to monitor it daily, but if you can devote some time to it, then at least you could be on top of your game. You would know what people are saying about your brand, and you would have an opportunity to respond, thank it, dispute it, defend yourself, or recommend yourself for people searching exactly for something like your hotel. Another quite important long-term idea and goal is having a Wikipedia page. Wikipedia is obviously one of the biggest single source of information online out there. Because of that, and because of it being fully independent, it means that AI tools are very heavily relying on information found on Wikipedia. It's a really good thing because if you are on Wikipedia, then your brand is already going to be sort of accepted as having high authority. The tricky bit is that Wikipedia, because of the AI, everybody seems to be flooding Wikipedia with pages, and it's not as easy to get your hotel added to Wikipedia. What I would suggest is that unless your hotel is brand new, it probably has already a nice media and press coverage, independent press coverage that people are writing about. If your hotel has really famous events or something important that's been happening to it for the last couple of years, if, for example, the building itself has a rich history, or if your hotel has a very important design element, or anything that makes it very unique, which I understand we are working at that sector, so I'm sure the chances are it's going to be, you're going to be able to submit a page. Wikipedia now takes up to 2 months, so it's definitely not a quick one. It takes up to 2 months to review it, and they might still ask you to change it, amend the page a little bit. But the idea is that Wikipedia also wants to be as useful as possible. And if they deem that your hotel is notable enough to have their own page, then it's going to be able to edit. And then with the Wikipedia page, obviously it's not an advertisement. You're not there to shout about your hotel. It's very factual. It's very neutral, but it's still going to raise your brand's actual positive sentiment in the eye of AI tools. Wikidata is another one. It's basically just one of the largest database for businesses around the world. It's very easy and very quick to add your brand to Wikidata. So this is something that I would actually start with. even though it's less sort of not less important, but it's easier to do so. I would focus on that. I mentioned before, but please try to be present on social media accounts as much as possible. You don't, the frequency of posting is completely up to you, but please be present on the main ones, which would be TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Video is king. Obviously, people are just looking at short and longer videos all the time, especially on TikTok and YouTube. But it's very useful if you are actually wanting to use an influencer, which we would recommend. I know it's never easy, but again, it could be a long-term goal that, 6 months from now, one of your monthly projects is to look for influencers in your area and offer them something in return of a video review. Just make sure you ask them to use captions, and I would recommend the same when you are uploading videos to social media. Add the captions, because AI tools can now actually read the captions, so they have a better understanding of what your video is about. And the very last point would be, please know your area, know the local businesses, try to build partnerships, try to build collaborations. Again, this could be a longer term goal, but it just all gives you added and additional brand presence, which is very important, because now, like I said multiple times by now, it's all about what everybody else besides you is saying about your brand itself. I'm very aware of time, so any questions about the last two things just now?
I have a question from the audience.
Yeah.
Abhishek is asking you, now that the AI chatbots are doing the search mostly on content, how important are images on websites? We were earlier looking at providing engaging pictures and videos and less words. So now with chatbots, pictures are only useful after being selected as part of the search.
I understand that. I would actually still think that they are highly relevant. Again, I understand that this is all about GEO, but I think the important thing is that you still have to look at the holistic picture when it comes to your website as well, and content is key. And the other thing to sort of understand and know that high quality images are gonna matter. They're gonna be pulled, not now, but because high images are getting pulled into search results on traditional search engines, it's gonna start happening with AI tools as well, no doubt about it, because AI is just basically mirroring what's been happening with traditional search. So I would say we are living in the visual world. And the other thing not to sort of forget about is that the end goal is that even from AI chatbots, people are still gonna end up visiting your website. So you wanna make sure that your website is beautiful, it's visually engaging, it's representative of your hotel and what you're offering. Another thing is that with images, you can actually add image alt text into the code of your website, which is a bit of a tag that AI can actually read. So when they are looking for, again, because they are looking for the content in full, including your images and your image alt text. Sorry, I know it's a little bit technical. It's basically just describing what is on the actual image, and this is easier for AI bots to read rather than trying to interpret what is actually on the image. But as a side note, this is also coming. They're going to be smart enough one day to just look at an image from their perspective, and they're going to be able to tell what it is. And if the high images, the relevant images, are actually present on your website, that's going to be an additional signal to AI tools that your website is matching the user intent, whatever that query is.
Thank you, Yulia. I have no more questions. Oh, I have one more question for you. Hi, Yulia. Thank you for sharing AI insights. But with traditional SEO, where we track things like ranking, clicks, impressions, just from a measurement standpoint, will there be a way for brands to know if they are showing up on LLM search, and how do they know what to fix, optimize, if not?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's actually quite similar to SEO. One thing to keep in mind, unfortunately, that so far it still has its limitations. All the SEO tools out there that we've been using to track and monitor search engine optimization, performance, and organic traffic is starting to measure AI. It's a little bit harder. Obviously, sort of personalization then comes into the question as well, just as with traditional SEO. But if someone is searching for similar things, then AI is going to alter the results for you and the results for me, because we are having different backgrounds and different search history. But there are SEO tools out there like SEMrush, that you can use to monitor. AWR, which is Advanced Web Rankings. I'm more than happy to write up sort of like add the last slide of tools. And then when Mona is sharing this with you guys, you're going to be able to go away and look at a couple of tools that you can use to monitor. They're actually quite good at picking up traffic in terms of clicks. So when we talk about measuring AI, we measure AI citations, which would be actual AI results getting your website with a link so that people can link on it. And then it could be AI brand mentions, which literally just means your brand. So the difference would be if someone is searching for the top 10 best luxury hotels in downtown Dubai, it could be just a list with 10 hotel names that would count as an AI brand mention for you. And these tools would be able to pick up on it from the majority of the AI tools, the LLMs that we are now using. And if they would be asking for something more specific, then the AI tools would actually get sort of a website reference as well that people can click on. So these are measurements you can measure. One thing to keep in mind is that I don't know how many of you guys are using Google Search Console. If not, completely fine. That's not your job to do. But I'm 100% sure that because you're going to have a Google account, or if not, please have one for your hotel's website, you're going to be able to see clicks and impressions and click-through rate and average keyword rankings as well. The thing with Google Search Console just now, that it's not actually breaking it down into AI performance and traditional search engine performance, but Bing already started it. So 100% Google is going to have it as well. The good thing though is that Google is actually going to be still, Google Search Console is going to be able to tell you the overall traffic. So it's going to be, I know it's not precise, but it's still going to be safe to assume that if you're actioning something, for example, if you create an FAQ page and you check back on your overall organic traffic and clicks and impressions, that's going to already include results from AI overview and AI mode from Google as well. Another thing, which I know it's again a little bit more technical, but Google Analytics 4, GA4, actually, if it's set up correctly, is also able to show you sessions and users, new users, even revenue from all of the AI tools and the LLMs that people are using out there. So there are definitely ways to still look at the metrics. It's going to be a little bit similar, different metrics. But like I said, with the tools like SEMrush, you're still going to be able to see clicks are going to be brand citations and impressions are going to be brand mentions. They're just going to be called a little bit differently, but you're still going to be able to track and measure your sort of website performance.
If I may just add here, Julia, but in 2026, two startups were founded in the US, and they purely do AI visibility. So they are an AI visibility tool, just like what we've always had in the many business intelligence tools that we've had from Lighthouse or from Amadeus, and they purely specialize in that. We're still studying them. I know of one, dominateai.ai, and that pure new startups in 2026. So I think this is something that we're going to see more of, because you really need to see how you are rating on those different LLMs. And SEMrush and SimilarWeb is good, but they're not only dedicated to AI versus those AI visibility tools that have now, it's a new technology category that is now available. Forever evolving our world of technology.
Yes, that's an amazing point, because there might not be fully formed tools out there just now. Give it 2 months, give it 6 months.
Absolutely, and there will be plenty. I have one more question for you. What are the biggest mistakes brands are making right now with the GEO?
That's an excellent question. So one thing that I would say is that, I don't know why I mentioned, but I think people think that you fight AI with AI. So I think, just flooding your website because content is king and key, and just have these AI written content in the hundreds of pages, that's actually going to be counterproductive. I think what the other thing is that they might not have this holistic approach. Like there's a reason why I was sort of hammering it down quite a lot, because unfortunately or not, right now you cannot just think in blocks. You cannot just think that, oh, I'm just going to have an amazing website and that's going to be enough. Or it's not just, oh, my YouTube is amazing. I have, very, very great videos. It's enough. Unfortunately, right now, you have to have all the digital marketing channels, and then you have to make sure that all of those are actually optimized, monitored. You have to devote the resources and the time. And then the other thing that I would say is that linked to the previous question, actually, which again was just spot on, is that you have to have a bit of a, I mean, I know all of us have a commercial mindset, but you do have to make sure that you check back what the results are, and you have to peak it quite often. So it's never a, I've done an FAQ page, this is done, I don't have to touch it for the next 10 years. That's unfortunately not the case. You go back, you see how that page is actually working. You yourself manually can check, if you pick up question, and then if you try it on Gemini and Copilot and ChatGPT, you can see whether the results are going to be coming from your official website's FAQ page or not. If so, you can see that this was actually working, and then you can, rest maybe a little bit with the FAQ page, and then you can look at the next. So what I would say is that, unfortunately, it's an ongoing, well, battle is a strong word, because I think it's actually an exciting one. This is what we do. This is why we are all here. We love the industry. We love hospitality. It's just something that we have to put ourselves out there, and we have to make sure that we are covering all of our bases, because GEO is going to be so big picture that you can't just forget or ignore one of those two or any of those elements, because in the end, it's like all actually going to contribute to each other. And in the end, it could be that all you needed to fix 2 images on your site, and then your page speed is going to be quicker. And then you just, your whole website performance is going to maybe skyrocket, or you just optimize 2 of your pages and it's going to make a difference. Or, we've seen it with one of our clients that there was just one influencer review, but then their bookings it was a very specific client. So it wasn't just a hotel, it's a health resort, but it was someone very famous spending a week there. And then, that was around the internet for the next 3 months, and that made a huge difference. So you never know what's actually going to be making a really big impact. So this is why I don't think you can't really afford to ignore any of these elements that we just talked about in the last hour. I know it sounds exhausting, but look at it more of as an exciting challenge, because there's so much to do. So I think that the most important thing is, don't get overwhelmed. I know there's a lot to do, but because there's a lot to do, you just need to sit down, set up the priority. And again, it's not going anywhere. Your hotel is not going anywhere, and your potential guests are definitely not going anywhere. So you do have the time to do quick wins, short-term goals, and then invest and devote time and resources into the long-term goals as well.
I love our weekly webinars. They seem to never end within the hour. So
I'm so sorry.
We still have our audience with us. I'm looking to see if there is any additional calls to help questions to help optimize GEO. This will be the last question, ladies and gentlemen, because we've really ran short of time. Will the call to action for customers mainly depend on relevant description, script, copyrights, or can we develop with pictures as well? Because we see this tech from Booking.com and Expedia showcasing on LLMs powered by the hotel network.
I'm sorry, I'm not 100% sure that I understand the question. So is the question whether we need CTA buttons or whether they can be replaced by images?
Yes.
I'm going to be honest, I think, because Google actually, I think it was this week or late last week, they actually finally for the first time came up with a bit of a technical guidance when it comes to LLMs. And this was actually one of their points in the list, is that CTA buttons, as they are very important. So you still have to sort of make sure that the anchor text, whatever it is, it has to be as descriptive as possible. So if you have a homepage, if you have all of your CTA buttons just saying learn more or, furthermore or inquire or something, that's not going to be specific and descriptive enough. If it's about your accommodation, you can say explore our accommodations. because LLMs read that, they read the actual text. One other thing that's just because it brought up with the question, I know it's quite specific, but what LLMs is going to be sort of doing and what they are doing already is they basically take a print screen, a screenshot of the elements of a page. And if that element, if the placement of the elements, for example, a CTA button that was actually specifically highlighted, is going to have a different placement every time a user is clicking through the similar pages. So if you have 5 offers pages, try to make sure that the placement of your CTA button, the offer or book now CTA button, is actually at the same page, so that consistency is standing across the pages, and that just gives LLMs an additional boost, and it's easier for them to sort of visually have an image of your website. Hopefully that answered the question. I would definitely not ditch anchor text. I think you have to have your CTA language written out. I think images could be a nice sort of supplement or addition, but so far we are still at the point when LLMs like more reading the actual text, what's written on the actual like code and the backend.
Thank you, Julia. That ends the questions for today.
That's all right. I know we are out of time, but I think if obviously anybody needs to leave, please feel free to. And thank you so much for your attention. But those of you who don't mind staying on for another 5 minutes and would be willing to do the exercise, I promise it's going to be very quick.
They're still here.
Thank you so much. It's going to be very quick. It's not going to be knowledge-based. It's just everything that we talked about, small things, big things. The question would be, come up with, you know what, let's ditch 3 because I know we're out of time. Come up with one suggestion how to improve your GEO to help your website rank for this AI search. Please feel free to shout out, although I appreciate if somebody is too shy to do that, or add it to the chat. So imagine someone is sitting at ChatGPT and they're asking the following. I'm looking for a 5-star luxury hotel in downtown Dubai that is family-friendly, has a rooftop bar and views of the Burj Khalifa. Imagine your website and your hotel has all of these points. Please tell me one thing based on everything we talked about that you could think about changing either on your website or externally. It could be social media, it could be other websites. Any ideas are welcome.
I'm checking our Q&A sources. So there is nothing in the chat. No one has added anything in the chat. No one has added anything in the Q&A.
That's completely fine.
Okay, maybe that's a home takeaway exercise to do. Okay, hold on for 1 second. Do I see a question? Nope. I have no inputs for you, Julia.
Yeah, that's completely fine. Don't worry about it.
Ashish, we say we can focus on news and guest reviews pages.
No, definitely. That's an amazing point. Reviews are huge, like we mentioned, and that's actually a very good idea. So one thing to understand that, it's not just about reviews saying that, oh, this is good, or oh, this was a bad hotel. Reviews are going to be descriptive. So, someone's going to say that, oh, this was truly family friendly because the kids' pool was just so safe. And I love that our kids are 2 meters away from us and they were having fun. So all of these information are going to be fed into AI. AI is summarizing it. And then based on similar reviews like that, they're going to actually recommend your hotel as being family friendly. So that was a spot on answer. Thank you for that.
I have more for you now.
Lovely.
I have quite a few. Create a dedicated landing page, maybe Burj Khalifa view room or family luxury stays.
Yes, both are actually, yes, amazing. You can tailor your content to that. And actually those are very, very good examples because this is something that we sort of see that some of the hotel websites, I understand why, but they are quite hesitant in adding more pages or adding sort of extra pages that are not necessarily, just transactional. But these 2 page examples are actually spot on because look at your website as having all the rich real estate where you can add information about. So someone is looking for a family-friendly hotel. If you have a family page devoted to all your family-friendly amenities and services and how close you are to family attractions in the city, that's going to be so many signals adding to LLMs that you are, in fact, a family-friendly hotel.
I have one more for you.
Yes.
Family-friendly 5-star hotel in downtown Dubai with Burj Khalifa view and rooftop bar.
So that would be the actual sort of question. But if you focus on trying to optimize your website content for all of these keywords, you don't have to have all of them in one sentence altogether. But for example, if these are scattered around your homepage, that's again a really good idea to give LLMs indication that you are in fact are ticking all the criteria that someone is looking for.
Okay. With that said, I am going to say thank you, Julia,
Yes,
and thank you
you.
everyone for staying behind. Please, may I kindly ask you to quickly cast your feedback? Just take 2 minutes to give us your feedback. The slide for the feedback form, please. Julia, the slide for the feedback form. Yes, thank you.
It's showing. Good.
Perfect. Please give us your feedback. If we don't hear your feedback, we will never be able to always improve on the next session's content. While you are scanning this QR code, we will not be sending feedback forms anymore at the end of the sessions. I mean, these webinars are happening weekly, so you either give us your feedback after the session or we don't have it. And we live on your feedback. Next week's session, we continue the wave of AI, but this time, so we've had Notebook LM, Google Notebook LM, very hands-on, I would say, not masterclass. We had 2 on Claude. We moved into practicalities with a subject matter expert on SEO and GEO with Julia. And next week, we take you to the academic world with Glion coming back and one of their associate professors delivering a very interesting topic, self-knowledge scaling, hyper personalization through invisible AI. So Dr. Alicio will be with us for next week from Glion. So, and we have some very interesting topics lined up for the rest of June, taking only a break on the 27th of May because it's Eid. And all of these topics have really been created from the feedback that you have been sharing with us after this. So have you added your feedback on today? Justine, are we getting feedback? Okay, good. Just scan, please, the feedback form. You can do it right now, or you can do it after we close the webinar session. Julia, thank you very much for Lijesh. You are most welcome. Thank you to all those that sent thank you to Ashish, and thank you all for attending. At the end of the day, that's the objective of these weekly webinars that we have been holding. Julia, thank you very much for being with us all the way from Budapest.
Thank you.
How is the weather? How is the weather there? Because it's now boiling hot here.
It's not, unfortunately. It's so windy. Like you cannot go outside. It's crazy.
We will send you some sun, I promise you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you everybody for attending.
Thank you. We will switch off the webinar in exactly 1 minute, Jean. And now that I believe everybody have scanned the feedback form, they can continue to cast their feedback and opinions after we close the webinar. See you hopefully all and many more next week on Wednesday, 4 p.m. GST, like every week. Amazing. It was a good session, Julia.
Thank you.
Shall I confess? But hey, this is not my area of expertise. I really thought that SEO and GEO